My name is Kuldeep Singh Randhawa. I have now made a number of videos which are embedded onto the website www.realrandhawa.com. I want to talk about a particular topic here which is quite important to everybody, particularly those individuals in British Columbia. Various institutions, various judges, various lawyers and professional engineers, and I can go on, all will be affected by this video. So they can appreciate that what is really happening here in Canada is actually highly illegal and improper. Such activities are considered as being demonic and evil. The topic matter is called acts of bad faith. To give you a few examples so that the people can understand, and you don't have to be a lawyer to understand this. Let's consider the first example. A person invites his friend for coffee, and so the friend turns up. The person expects coffee and tea and cookies to be served, but instead this person is beaten up, considerably beaten up and injured. That is one of the most obvious examples of an act of bad faith. Then you've got the situation, the next example now, of a client who goes to a lawyer. The lawyer is someone who's supposed to give legal advice. He's supposed to be working under law as an officer of the court. And so the client, instead of receiving good advice, receives illegal advice, and unlawful acts are done by the lawyer. Client privileges are an important part of this, and information by the lawyer is shared with the opposing lawyer or the opposing side. So the client is actually being harmed here. And the intent is really to sort of entrap the client into something or not actually provide the legal advice which is required of the lawyer who's been paid by the client. That is an act of bad faith. Let's take another example. A person goes to an engineer and the client pays the engineer some money to design a beam. Now this engineer designs this beam not so that it would last. He designs it, intentionally makes mistakes so that the person who's paying him ends up dying because the beam's eventually going to fall down. Now this is quite an outrageous, example. It clearly would not happen. I mean, that's what most Canadians would think. But that is as part of the example so that people can understand the severity of the problem here. And so the client who pays this engineer ends up dying. That is an act of bad faith where the engineer is killing the client through an intentional bad design who's been paid for that by the client who's now dead. The fourth example, it's to do with insurance claims, and this is a term which is often used in a lot of legal cases throughout the world. An insurance company has, in many cases in the past, there have been numerous cases, where they would automatically deny a claim. That's the first response of the insurance company. They won't even look at the facts, they just simply deny it. And that's actually happened in a few cases in the United States. And so the insured who has paid the insurance company is intended to receive compensation for a loss. Maybe the house is burnt down or something. And the funds are denied through some technical issue or some improper report which is fraudulently issued by an expert. That is an act of bad faith. And now, in giving an example of something that's really happened to me, and I can talk about it, the matter of APEC BC versus Randhawa, where they've investigated me for someone else's screw-ups. So they create a false structure which looks like it's a water tank. And they're saying this water tank actually collapsed. when the truth is there is no water tank even built. So in order for this investigation to go ahead, you clearly have to have drawings, but the drawings are of a water tank, but the structure that was constructed wasn't even executed according to the drawings. In fact, this is not the case where a structure is not built because of some error, but some structure is built without water pipes. It's an object of fraud, is what I've termed as a fake structure, so that the career of Mr. Randhawa, the person sitting in front of you, can be destroyed. And so the reason why this is occurring is kind of what's taking place in Canada. We have the media who clearly knows that there's some issues with the medical tyranny that's taking place now, where reports have now turned up in other nations saying there's high mortality rates with those people who have been vaccinated. And yet the coverage is not being done by the media. The coverage was not done in my case. The coverage was not done for other people who have been harmed in a similar way. And so the media not acting as a media is actually an act of bad faith because they're not functioning as a media. And then we've got our famous Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who keeps on talking about systemic racism when he should be talking about systematic racism, which is an entirely different thing as per my previous videos. So this is a Prime Minister who knows what's going on, but he's downplaying the situation. That is an act of bad faith. And all of these activities are taking place with a purpose in mind. And that purpose is illegal intent or some activity to cause harm or to control this nation, where many people are going to be harmed. And I think the activities are taking place in such a way that some ethnic community is going to be targeted eventually for this. So that ethnic community would first have to be controlled and deceived and misled. And so perhaps the reason why the World Sikh Organization is not defending my case is because they think they're trying to do a good thing in trying to progress the status of Sikhs in Canada so they can get recognition. And so they're giving some favors to certain individuals. And politicians are going into Sikh temples and speaking about, what's going to happen, but it's really a way of getting the ethnic vote. But the truth is withheld, which is not even known to the World Sikh Organization, who I will be contacting shortly after these videos that are made in about a couple of months' time in September of 2023. Who need to be told what's taking place here is something highly improper. And so this association, the World Sikh Organization, clearly knows that I'm going through considerable hardship, and I've always spoken about this organization with considerable respect. And they keep on playing on and giving stories like they don't know what's going on, which is also an act of bad faith. The last example that I can clearly talk about is Justice Verhoeven, who knows that he's protecting the crimes of various institutions. This is not the case where he's made one mistake, because I filed a petition as 147-600. And all those respondents in that petition are guilty of crimes, and they know that. Because this exploitation that's taking place in Canada is to really control the people, where the people are deceived. And the truth eventually will be exposed, just as I have exposed 5 or 6 scams. And because there are people who are strong-minded, strong-willed, highly ethical, honest, these are the people that you don't really want in this country. Perhaps you want all the Canadians to be just silent when crimes are taking place, so the tyranny can continue and whoever speaks out will never speak out. If this is what's happening in Canada, there's going to be serious problems. Because at the present time, a lot of Canadians care about Canada. A lot of ethnics are trying hard to fit in. They're coming to this country to start a new life. They want to fit in. And if they're being betrayed in this way, so that they can be taken the blame, and they will not remain silent when the truth is known. So whatever is taking place in this nation needs to be corrected very quickly. And for this reason, some of those people out there from the Sikh faith, for example, they're not going to be making videos like I'm making videos. They're going to be going directly to the root cause of the problem. And they won't go to the courts. And they won't go to the media. And so this is why I'm saying to everybody out there, especially within the Sikhs, to keep calm, to not take extra steps which may cause harm to the reputation of Sikhs. I want to give a message to all my friends out there from the Freedom Group. This is not about religion. I really appreciate the help that I've received from a lot of the Freedom Groups, and I'm sitting here today making this video because many good Christians came forward. Many good Sikhs have helped me. Many good Hindus have helped me. What we're dealing with here is people within various faiths who are not religious. They don't believe in God. All they believe in is money. That is their bottom line. And it seems they don't even want to care about what's taking place in Canada. And these are the kind of people who need to be held accountable under law. And those institutions that are not functioning properly, they better start investigating those people who are involved in these crimes as opposed to supporting the crimes of these individuals. And that's all I'm going to say about acts of bad faith. And I'm going to focus on the next video, which hopefully will be about how we can solve the problem in understanding how the frauds are taking place and so forth. So watch the next video. Thank you.